What's up guys, it's Kelly Shalal, registered dietitian and personal trainer behind the healthy living blog, Hungry Hobby, and today I'm here showing you how to make one of my favorite sauces of all times. Sauces are the core of cooking, are they not? Some people are super obsessed with sauces, and for good reason. They just make everything taste better. And today, for those of you that like spicy, I'm gonna show you how to make my honey chipotle sauce, and I'm gonna show you 2 ways to use it, but there are infinite ways to use it. So, before we do that though, make sure that if you're new around here that you hit that subscribe button and the red bell notification button so that you never miss a recipe or post. I post new recipes every single week here on YouTube and on my blog, so make sure that you check it out. All right guys, so let's get started. So when I said some people are obsessed with sauces, it's true. I have a friend, and particularly also my husband, Mr. Hungry, who love dipping, putting sauces on everything, that kind of stuff. And you know, one of the most common things I hear as a dietitian is that you should get rid of all sauces and dips and condiments if you're trying to lose weight. And I think that that is a big mistake, okay? Condiments, sauces, dressing, yes, high calorie, low calorie, etc. If you're eating healthy overall, they're gonna add to the meal, and they're going to really enhance the flavor of particularly a healthy meal, right? And if it keeps you consistent in eating healthy overall, the calories should be part of the overall calories of the meal and not something to be super worried about, right? This recipe in particular has a decent amount of honey or sugar in it. For how much we're using per recipe, it's really not that big of a deal, and it makes the dishes just totally stand out and are amazing. So for more nutrition tips and stuff like that, check out the blog. I've got a whole health section, but I just wanted to make that point before we jumped into making this recipe that just, you know, sauce away, people, sauce away. Okay, so how do you make this recipe? It's super easy. It takes 6 ingredients, and guess what? No cooking. I hate sauce recipes that are super complicated and you have to cook them and boil them, and I have a few on the blog, but my favorite ones are the ones where you just straightforward blend and use, right? And that is what this recipe is, and it's customizable. So we're gonna start with 1 can of Chipotle and adobo sauce. Now, I put a whole can in. If you have people in your house who maybe don't love spicy food as much as you do, again, my husband, you can cut down the amount of Chipotle and adobo sauce and peppers that you use. So start with 1 pepper and a tablespoon of sauce and add until you get to your desired spiciness level. In addition to the Chipotle and adobo sauce, whether you use just a little bit or 1 whole can like I did, you are then going to use honey, coconut aminos or soy sauce, depending on your preference. They can be subbed equally 1 for 1. Garlic powder, apple cider vinegar, and optionally, if you did use that whole can and you need additional sweetness, coconut sugar balances out the recipe just a little bit. Adding more honey doesn't quite cut the spice as much as coconut sugar does. So I added a little bit of coconut sugar, and I do add it when we make this for ourselves. Then you just press blend. You can do this in a blender if you have a high-powered blender or food processor like I'm showing here, and blend it up, and then you've got your sauce and you're ready to go. Now you can use this as a dip, you can use it in a lot of different ways, but today I want to show you 2 ways that we love to use it in my house. And I will make sure that I link the recipe to the honey chipotle sauce as well as the wings and the salmon that I'm going to show you how to make now. Alright, so now that we have this delicious, sweet, spicy, a little bit savory, fresh, just made honey chipotle sauce, we're gonna use it. So, like I said, 2 ways to use this recipe or this sauce. Our 2 favorite ways are wings and salmon. So to make the wings, you're gonna get a couple pounds of wings. You could really, if you wanted to use all the sauce, do up to almost 4 pounds of wings and use all the sauce. Get your wings, make sure they're defrosted. For this cooking method in particular, it's better if they're defrosted. And then make sure that you pat them dry. So I usually just, pat them dry with a paper towel and then put them in the bowl. So pat them all dry while your grill is preheating to about 400 to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Usually here in Arizona in the middle of the summer, our grill gets up to 500 degrees pretty quickly, but it should work around 400 to 500 if you're making this in the winter and trying to preheat your grill. So this should also work on a gas or charcoal grill, so don't worry about that. So what you're gonna do is put your chicken wings on the grill and line them up on the grill after it's been preheated and let them cook about 5 minutes. You don't need to spray them, you don't need any oil, nothing like that. Just go ahead and stick them right on there and let them cook about 5 to 7 minutes. Once they're starting to get golden brown and kind of got those nice char marks on one side of them, you can go ahead and flip them. And then what you're gonna do is take a basting brush and brush the sauce onto the cooked side of the chicken wing. Make sure when you're dipping the sauce, if you plan to use any over, obviously you're using raw chicken here, so make sure that you maybe separate some of the sauce out if you're not gonna use it all. You use about a half a cup per pound of chicken wings just to give you a ballpark there. So if you don't plan on using all the sauce, make sure to separate it out so that you're not dipping raw chicken, brushed raw chicken into your whole batch of sauce and then you can't use it all. So just make sure that you keep it separate. And you'll repeat that for all the chicken wings on the grill. Go ahead and close it, let them cook for another 5 to 7 minutes or so. Then repeat. Now this time you'll flip the chicken wings with the sauce side down. That's totally fine, don't worry. In fact, it will be even better. Again, repeat by brushing the other side of the chicken wings and then let cook another 5 to 7 minutes. Occasionally we turn them again, but it's not totally necessary. Once they reach 165 degrees Fahrenheit, they're done and they should have a nice, wonderful, succulent glaze on them for you to go ahead and enjoy with your traditional sides like celery and ranch dressing is my favorite, as you'll see here. Now, to make the salmon, it's super easy. You preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, you put 2 pieces of salmon, or however many pieces of salmon you want, really. Put a couple pieces of salmon is what we did, but you can put however many you want, on a baking sheet and then brush the salmon with the honey chipotle sauce. Again, similar thing, make sure that you're not, re-dipping raw things that have touched raw salmon and back into their original batch. I know that's obvious, but just saying. And then just place them in the oven. And everybody, I've noticed, everybody likes their salmon to a little bit different cooking doneness. Personally, in our house, we like a full 20 minutes. We want our salmon cooked all the way through, probably a little too dry for some people. So you can cook it to your desired doneness level. So if you're one of those people that like it a little softer, a little less cooked, and definitely not dry, then you'll do more closer to 10, 12 minutes. We did a full 15 to 20 minutes and that's perfect. And then we just sprinkled with a little parsley and dug in. So the recipe links for how to make the honey chipotle sauce as well as how to make the wings and the salmon are all on the blog and will be linked below. I will also link a bunch of other chipotle sauce recipes I have. So if you are obsessed with spicy like I am, and I'm like, the hotter the better, if my eyes are burning then it's maybe kind of hot enough, but I'd like it hotter type person. But all my recipes can be modified to be, not that hot. But if you love spicy and you love chipotle sauce, then I have a bunch of other chipotle sauce recipes and suggestions on how to use them, including a creamy chipotle sauce, a barbecue chipotle sauce. I'm posting a raspberry chipotle sauce soon. So in addition to this honey chipotle sauce, I have a ton of others that I will link below for you to check out. They're also linked in the blog post. So if you make this recipe, please let me know. I love to see it. You can tag me at @HungryHobbyRD on Instagram, as well as leave a comment here and on the blog. I love to see what you guys make. And if you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell notification below so that you never miss a recipe. Like I said, I post new recipes every single week and even more on the blog. So make sure that you check that out. All right, guys, I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.